So previously you can see we had a migration code initial create. And what we did was within this migration, we removed the code for up method over here and the down method because we didn't want to delete any data from our tables. If we look at our SQL Server over here, you can see our table had the following data. So we didn't want to get rid of that data or damage it. So we removed and just created an empty migration. And if we have a look at the migration itself, you can see that's what we called the migration. And notice here the product version again. This product version refers to the .NET Tools version and not your application version that you are building. So now let's say we want to add in a new column called city, and for existing data we want null values in here. How do we do that without manually entering the SQL Server table over here? So going back to migrations, what we'll do is we'll close this one down and we'll add a new property to our student class because that's how our table is created using the DB set over here. So we're just going to add a new property. So we'll use the VS Code shortcut of proc, press enter, and we're going to change the data type to string, and we're going to make it nullable so it can have no values because our database already has some records. And then we're going to change the property name to city. So now we have this. We're going to go to our terminal. Now before we go to our terminal, we need to make sure we save the file. You can see this dot to indicate it's not saved, and this is now saved. So we'll now open up the terminal, the hamburger menu, click contribute and terminal, and we are going to use the following command to add our migration. So we're going to use the .NET tool, and we're going to call our migration add city. But as previously you saw, we have a migration called initial create, which is what we named it. So now we should get something called add city over here, and you can see this command is finished. So if we have a look at the folder structure for migrations folder, you can see there is now a migration called add city, which is the name that we give over here, and this name appears here. So if we have a look at the structure of this method here is simply adding in a new column called city within this table students of the following data type, and it is a nullable field. And you can see here where the down method is actually just basically going to drop that column as city in table called students. So this hasn't been applied to the database yet. So what we can do is we've got an option of removing this migration if we change our mind. But if we are okay with it and we want to apply it to the database, so this command here, database update, is the one that actually will do the work. Previously we used the migration add command, and if you want to remove the migration, you use the migration remove command. So I'm going to run this command, and you can see it has succeeded, has applied the following migration. So here the name of the migration, as you saw, is this. If we go back to our database and if we refresh this table by executing again, and you can see we have a new migration which matches what we had in VS Code. The product version of course is the same because we're using the same .NET Entity Framework tool. And then if we now do a select on this table, you can see there is now a city column, and the city column has null populated for any existing data. So by simply using a few commands and adding our property here to the class, we have automated the process of adding the new column to SQL Server using Entity Framework.